The 1991 Australian Touring Car Championship was a CAMS-sanctioned motor racing title open to Group 3A touring cars. The title, which was the 32nd Australian Touring Car Championship, was contested over a 9-round series which began on 24 February 1991 at Sandown Raceway and ended on the 11th of August at Oran Park Raceway. The series was promoted as the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship and was won by Jim Richards driving a Nissan Skyline GT-R. Teams and drivers. The following teams and drivers competed in the 1991 Australian Touring Car Championship. Changes. With Australia in the middle of an economic downturn, the recession we had to have, according to Federal Treasurer Paul Keating, entry numbers were significantly down on 1990 at almost every round, with only 11 cars appearing at Wanneroo Raceway. Notable absentees included Alan Moffat Racing and Toyota Team Australia, while Peter Brock closed his Mobile One racing team, effectively bringing to an end the old Holden dealer team which had been around since 1969. And took his Mobile sponsorship to Perkins Engineering, reuniting with his Bathurst 1000 winning co-driver of 1982, 1983 and 1984. Larry Perkins in a pair of new Holden VN Commodore SS Group ASVs. Tony Longhurst's Benson and Hedges Racing ditched their powerful but tire-shredding Ford Sierra RS 500s and became Australia's factory BMW team. Racing two former Schnitzer Motorsport BMW M3 Evolutions which included upgraded front and rear spoilers as well as an increase in engine size from 2.3 to 2.5 L for the four-cylinder engine. The 200cc larger engine in the M3 also saw power for the small car rise from around 300 horsepower, 224 kilowatts, 304 PS, to approximately 340 horsepower, 254 kilowatts, 345 PS. The cars were delivered to the team's Gold Coast base after the Wellington 500 in December 1990. Though under the Group A rules as used by CAMS, the cars did not have the ABS that they ran in the German DTM series. Team owners Longhurst and Frank Gardner had a previous association with BMW in the M3. Longhurst having raced a M3 for Gardner's factory-backed JPS team BMW in 1987, while the JPS team had used a variety of BMWs between 1981 and 1987. With the economic downturn making it unlikely Holden special vehicles would be able to sell the required 500 Evolution VN Commodore SS Group ASVs to make it ineligible for Group A competition, they ended up building only 320. CAMS gave dispensation for the model to race and thus the bigger budget Holden teams, HRT and Brock Perkins, upgraded some of the privateers. Notably, the Lansvale Smash Repairs team and Terry Finnegan also upgraded to the VN. But most Holden privateers continued to race the previous VL model. The VN Commodore had been released back in August 1988, and would be superseded by the VP in October 1991. The Commodores did get other concessions from CAMS, including losing some 75 kilograms to bring the minimum weight of the car down to only 1,250 kilograms and the homologation of a 6-speed gearbox in mid-year. The Mobile One and Holden Racing Team VN Commodores were producing approximately 520 horsepower, 388 kilowatts, 527 PS. The Gibson Motorsport-run Nissan Skyline R32 GT-Rs were basically as they had finished 1990. The 4WD Twin-turbo cars nicknamed Godzilla were producing approximately 640 horsepower, 477 kilowatts, 649 PS. Though cams made the cars carry an extra 15 kilograms to bring them to a total of 1,360 kilograms. The heaviest car on the grid. Although the Ford Sierras had lost numbers, with the Brock and Longhurst teams now driving Holden and BMWs respectively, the 4CYL turbo Fords were still one of the fastest cars on the grid. The leading Sierras were producing approximately 540 horsepower, 403 kilowatts, 547 PS. And for 1991, cams reduced their minimum weight from 1990's 1,185 kilograms to the car's original 1987 homologated weight of just 1,100 kilograms. Like the Commodores, the Sierras would also benefit from a mid-season homologation of a 6-speed gearbox. Season review. The season was dominated by Nissan Motorsport. The team's two drivers won 7 of the 9 rounds between them, with 6 of those victories being part of 1-2 finishes. Mark Skaife scored more championship points than any other driver, but with each driver having to drop their worst round if they actually scored points in all 9 rounds. Skaife lost 10 points from his 4th at round 8 at Lakeside, giving the title to his teammate and defending champion, Jim Richards, who only scored in the first 8 rounds after failing to finish the grand finale at Oran Park. This continued the New Zealand domination of the championship in the Group A era, with New Zealand drivers having won 5 of the 7 Australian Touring Car Championships held under those regulations. Richards in 1985, 1987, 1990 and 1991, with Robbie Francevic winning in 1986. The only Australian winner being 1988 and 1989 champion Dick Johnson. Third place was claimed by Tony Longhurst, who won 2 rounds at Amaru Park and Lakeside International Raceway in his Benson and Hedges BMW M3 Evolution. BMW's return with the top-line team was underlined by teammate, 1980 Formula One World Drivers' Champion Alan Jones, finishing 4th in the points after finishing the championship strongly with consecutive second placings in the final 2 rounds. During the series, the BMW, which were the lightest outright cars, which helped their tire wear and gave a braking advantage, became the only consistent challenges to the GT-Rs. 1991 also saw the return of Peter Brock to Holden for the first time since 1987. After racing BMWs in 1988 followed by 2 seasons running Andy Rouse-sourced Ford Sierras, which had seen Brock finish 3rd and 2nd in the championship. Brock teamed with former Holden dealer team co-driver, manager Larry Perkins in 2 Perkins Engineering built Holden VN Commodore SS Group ASVs, and while initially they were off the pace due to the lack of suitable Bridgestone tires, this was rectified by halfway through the series, and Brock in particular became a regular challenger with strong qualifying performances. Though the heavy Commodores still to be hard on tires in the ATCC's sprint race format. Brock finished 6th in the championship while Perkins finished in 11th place. In a 2014 interview with Australian Muscle Car magazine, Perkins would claim that part of the contract with Brock and his main sponsor Mobil stated that in championship races, he was not allowed to finish ahead of Brock unless it was unavoidable. Brock and Perkins were joined in the fight for Holden by Holden Racing Team manager Wyn Percy, who also had a strong season in his VN Commodore. Percy's 4th place at Amaru Park was the best finish for a Commodore through the series, and he surprised everyone when he qualified second in rounds 2 and 3 at Symonds Plains and Wanneroo. Percy finished the series in 8th place, 1 place ahead of 5-time ATCC champion Dick Johnson, who endured a miserable series in his Sierra, his best finish being 4th in the opening round at Sandown Raceway. Results and standings. Race calendar. The 1991 Australian Touring Car Championship was contested over a 9-round series with 1 race per round. Each round was of approximately 50 minutes duration. Drivers' Championship. Championship points were awarded on a 2-0, 1-5, 1-2, 1-0, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1 basis for the top 10 positions at each round. Each driver was required to drop any points earned from the worst round result. Positions shown within brackets are those for which drivers were awarded points that were not counted towards championship totals. See also 1991 Australian Touring Car Season. Official V8 Supercar site contains historical ATCC information. 1991 Australian Touring Car Racing images, including the ATCC